Welcome to the Barker Podcast Collection.
Welcome to the Not Watching Podcast. My name's Rob Howard, and this week I'm joined by
Ian Bruce,
John Marson,
and Marcus Hurley.
You can contact us on email at notwatchingpodcast@gmail.com or follow us on Twitter at notwatchingpod. Cool. Okay, movie news. Mad Max sequel is happening, and it has a title already. It's going to be called Mad Max: The Wasteland. Yeah, which leads me to believe that it could be a different kind of film. You know, a bit more epic, a bit more exploring that world. In maybe at a slower pace, perhaps.
I'm disappointed it's not called
2 hours of Mad Max.
Mad Max Return to Thunderdome. There's an opportunity there.
yeah.
Or Madder Max.
Yep.
Just more grr, more brr,
Max.
more brr.
Continuing the
I was trying to do
theme,
it.
maybe Mad Max.
I was trying to.
It's good.
It would certainly be nice to see Furiosa back. I'm not tired of her character by the end of that and the first one, and if we could see her come back, I was going to try
Mad Maxine, Queen of the Desert.
perhaps a Tina Turner cameo, maybe.
Really?
I think she's given up acting now. She lives in Switzerland. She's quite happy.
Did she
Is
ever
that
do
a
any
fact?
acting?
Yep, she is. She married guy she was seeing, a Swiss guy, and she's living in Switzerland. That's why we've not heard anything from her.
Wow,
Yeah.
That's such a random
that
fact
is
to know.
that
That's
is-
Wikipedia.
that's why you're here, Marcus. Okay, they've also named the next Planet of the Apes movie. This one's going to be called War of the Planet of the Apes. I imagine
Wow, that was
there'll be
a Howard
some
War, definitely.
conflict. I imagine there'll be some
maybe between
conflict
man
involved.
and ape.
Well, spoilers.
Or Ape and Man.
In an interview for Dawn, whatever that is, the film, of course, Reeves talked a bit about the inevitable war Caesar would have with the humans. As the story continues, we know that war is not avoided by the end of Dawn. That is going to take us into the world of what he is grappling with, where he is going to be thrust into circumstances that he never ever wanted to deal with. And he continues, but it goes on quite a long time. So yeah, I guess that's just going to sort of further escalate all of that. I thought, I don't know, looking back at the last Apes movie, I enjoyed it, but it just seemed like such a small film compared to the first one they did. It was all
really
kind of...
I didn't like the second one.
No?
I thought it was... No. It didn't really feel like it felt... It left... It didn't leave me feeling the same way the first one did, because I thought the first one was so... It was such an amazing way to reboot something or to do something again.
Yeah.
And the second one just felt a bit... We've got to throw a sequel out, everyone. Let's throw a sequel out. So... And make everything bigger and badder. Let's do the aliens to the alien we've done before, but let's do it really badly and just do a load of mocap stuff that everybody blethers on about all the time, and we'll just throw a bit of plot in there for the sake of it. I didn't really like it at all. It was weak.
I felt like it was gimped. I think it was deliberately gimped because they didn't want to blow their load all at once. I think they wanted to... You know, I think that it clearly could have gone on a bit more, and they...
Held it back a bit.
You know,
they empired it.
They basically
Well, they tried
there's another film there, but you know,
Okay.
oh well. There's some more sequels. Sorry, Jack Reacher 2. That's coming out.
Thought it
Did
was shit.
anyone watch the first one?
Cool.
Yeah. Seen that a couple of times.
Yeah,
Really
I
enjoyed
did.
it.
Oh,
He was alright, yeah.
Yeah,
I heard he was
Well,
miscast.
should have been Statham.
And
Yeah, he was massively miscast.
It would have been better with Statham.
Yeah,
It would have worked
yeah.
with Statham, absolutely. But it was...
Well, let's put it this way. You got
Go on.
Tom Cruise playing a Dolph Lundgren style
Yeah.
role.
With all the cameras
I'm s-
ground level looking up to make him look like he's normal sized instead of 3'6", whatever he is.
well, That's a bit sizist, but I know
Sorry,
it's wrong.
I'm sorry.
Because
Forgot you were a little person.
No, let's move on from that. I forgot you had a chip on your shoulder stopping you from growing. Right.
it weighs me down,
Like
it does.
a pot of gold weighing him down.
Yeah.
It was enough of a 70s conspiracy-ish type thriller that it worked for me. It wasn't a good one, but it was still a bit of a throwback to that.
Yeah, I'm sort of morbidly curious to see how Cruise is in the role, but having not read the books, I have nothing to sort of measure it up against.
Read the books. You don't. It works on its
probably
own.
No. It's probably better actually if you haven't, I would imagine.
Yeah, he's very. Cruise isn't the character in the books. He's about half the size of the character in the books, and he's just Tom Cruise, isn't he? But it still works as a kind of conspiracy type thriller with a wandering stranger coming in, sorting it all out.
Yeah, well,
Maybe.
I mean, for this, I think there's so many books anyway. It's kind of a franchise that's going to happen whether we like it or not. There's just too much to mine there. It's too much of a brand. It's licensed to print money.
Maybe Statham can have the next one.
Yeah, maybe when Tom Cruise gets too old. And we're getting another World War Z.
How in the name
I
of
wasn't
all...
particularly.
Why? Why are we getting that?
I know.
Brad Pitt.
Is Brad Pitt in it again?
The zombies are still fairly big.
Yeah.
Yep, I think so. Oh, rumoured.
Jesus.
Yeah.
Not confirmed.
It's Stephen Knight, not the Stephen Knight that gave us Daredevil, a different one. He's done the script, and J.A. Bayona is going to direct it. He who did The Orphanage and The Impossible. So, good director anyway.
Oh, okay.
But I'm sure... I don't know. I mean, I just... Something about the last one, it just didn't... I think it was just because there was so much CGI, and with zombies you always kind of need a bit of, like, gore and stuff, and there wasn't really any of that. So it didn't really seem like...
But it was all... It was like you were watching news footage of it. Apart from the first bit in the car when it all started, it didn't feel personal. The ending did.
Yeah.
When Doctor Who was playing a doctor for the World Health Organisation, it was quite funny.
Oh yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah. That was some weird coincidence. That was.
Yeah.
Or a precursor of things to
planned.
come. I don't think he was announced as Doctor Who at that point, was he?
But he must have known that he was doing it by then, I think.
Yeah. A convenient coincidence.
Yes.
Okay, and this is quite old news now, but they announced the cast for Captain America: Civil War, and it is in no particular order. Although I have kind of tried to mentally split these up into the various factions, as it were. So I'm thinking you're going to have Chris Evans as Captain America, Scarlett Johansson as Black Widow, Sebastian Stan as Winter Soldier, Anthony Mackie as the Falcon, Jeremy Renner as Hawkeye, and Emily Van Camp as Sharon Carter, Agent 13. Sharon Carter being related to Peggy Carter. So I think that's one side of the Civil War, yeah? That's just what I think. And then on the other side, I reckon it's going to be Downey Jr. as Iron Man, Paul Bettany as the Vision, Don Cheadle as War Machine, William Hurt as General Thaddeus Ross, who was in the Incredible Hulk movie with Ed Norton. And then and these ones I'm not sure about is Paul Rudd as Ant-Man, Elizabeth Olsen as Scarlet Witch, Chadwick Boseman as Black Panther, and Frank Grillo as Brock Rumlow / Crossbones. So I just saw the cast list and I was like, I know this is going to get split down the middle. Who would go with who? And what do you think about that? and also, what do you think about the fact that there's more people in this than the last Avengers movie?
They managed to keep it going.
Well,
I know you're.
Well, bearing in mind it's the last Captain America movie because they always go for a trilogy. They're probably thinking, well, we might as well go out on a bang because we probably won't ever get a chance to make any more Captain America movies because he is pretty much the Boy Scout of the Marvel world, isn't he?
Yeah, well, it's certainly not in the plan for him to have any more of his own standalone stuff. And you could argue this isn't even really a standalone film. It's more of another Avengers film, really.
No, that's what I mean. His story's pretty much told. It's only got, one more direction really to go, in a sense.
Just give it 5 years and reboot it, surely, like Spiderman.
No, but that's what I'm saying. I don't think that you'll get a reboot, because there was a Captain America film quite a number of years ago, a couple of decades ago.
Yeah, that wasn't very good though, was it?
Which wasn't... No, it wasn't that great, but it wasn't outright terrible. I've seen some really bad superhero films.
Yeah.
There's one called Generation X, which is particularly terrible.
Yeah.
You know. But, you know, I'm thinking that and this, I don't see Captain America coming back with his own film. He'll probably play a part. You know, the actor might turn up in other films or whatever. Maybe odd TV spots if Marvel's still doing that. You know, he might turn up in whatever new TV series they've got planned after the films burn out, because it would just be a bit part, a cameo role or whatever. Kind of like Samuel Jackson turning up in Agents of Fury. You know, you pay him a little bit, that's it. You secured your TV show, and then it'll carry on. But I don't see Captain America really coming back on the big screen. Not for probably another couple of decades, at least.
Well, he's got he's going to be in another 2 Avengers films.
He's going to be in all of the big films coming up. Yeah,
but what are they all? What are any of them going to do?
Actually, is he?
Well, I mean, it's not confirmed, but I mean, I think the assumption is that they're all signed up to sort of finish off this phase that we're now in. I think as of Ant-Man. I think that's, or is that?
I think so.
That's phase 2. Yeah, phase 3 starts with. Is it Doctor Strange? Or
I think so.
Yeah, that's the next one after Ant-Man, I think. Oh no, Civil War is the start of phase 3. Yeah. So I think the assumption is that he'll be in subsequent, unless they get killed or something. Who knows? They've got a lot of merchandise to shoot. I don't think they're going to be killing off any of them, are they really?
Well, they are kind of setting it up, and it is Marvel. If they're treating it the same way they do their comics. I mean, pretty much everyone's built in with a Jesus gene in comics, you know. They die and they come back 3 years later or whatever, or 3 days later.
Jesus gene. Excellent.
But that's what I'm saying. They could probably do it with the film, because there has to be a martyr.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I don't know.
And they are setting it up. You know, we've seen Falcon as Captain America in the comics. So all this sort of thing's already in place. They're already moving the pieces around so that you get some sort of recognition already in the comic world. And then they're just going to, you know, let it all play out on screen. And you go, oh yeah, that's like in that. Or when you go into your comic book shop, once you've gotten past all the sweating, unwashed masses and go to your comic books, you basically go, oh yeah, that's like what happened in that film or X film or this film, or it's similar to that. And it's to get a whole new generation into books as well as bringing a whole new generation from books to watch their films.
Yeah.
So I reckon they could do pretty much whatever the hell they wanted, because they can then spend the next 20, 30 years writing comic books based on this whole little pat on the back they've done for themselves. It sounds very cynical, but I'm actually quite pleased with what they're doing.
Yeah. And it looks like they're going to be doing the 2 final Avengers films in glorious IMAX. The whole thing, they're designing the final 2 films to be shot entirely in IMAX, which is interesting because not every cinema will be able to benefit from that. So I guess they're kind of just hoping that the adoption of IMAX is as widespread as the need to see Avengers.
I think it's more they have so much money it doesn't matter.
Yeah. So
because everyone says IMAX reels are really expensive, which is why you only get segments, don't you? Like a really eye-popping opening or something.
Yeah, they're doing. It's the Russo brothers who are they're doing 15 minutes of footage for Civil War in IMAX, but they're talking about doing the whole of Infinity War, both films, completely in IMAX.
Yeah.
Which will be a first, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's happening. Couple more superhero bits. At the moment, apparently, I heard the other day that they're going to make a decision on the new Spider-Man in the next few days. But apparently, Asa Butterfield is the favourite at the moment. He who was in that film Ender's Game and Hugo. So
okay.
yeah, he's a bit of a squirt, but you know that's kind of what they're looking for. Said the squirt. Yeah, so we'll find out about that soon. And at the opposite end of the career trajectory, Hugh Jackman has said that the next Wolverine movie will be his last. So
that's all right. Jeff Ganata can still pick it up. He even bloody looks like him. He looks like him. He could do it. He could do it.
Yeah, maybe that'll be his big break. He'd love that. You should tweet him.
I think I already have.
But yeah, 9. You already have?
I think so. I think many years ago when I thought, oh, we should do
that. Cool.
Okay, sorry.
No, 9 movies, and yeah, so that'll be the 9 movies playing the same role, which I think means that he has broken the record for playing that role, for playing a single role the most amount of times. So that beats anyone that played Bond. Or M. Trying to think of other things. M
from the Bond films. Wasn't that played by the same guy? Right.
Was it?
I think it was played by the same guy with different Bonds.
Maybe this is just in the case of like a lead character then.
Right.
Perhaps. Okay. Maybe. It's definitely like, it's certainly unusual for
I'm pretty
someone.
sure Statham just played Jason Statham in every film.
What about Arnie's character?
Yeah.
Yep.
That's true.
The one line of character he always has.
Stallone.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. In the case of Hugh Jackman, someone who can actually act.
Yes.
Sorry.
Wow. Yeah, that was harsh. That was harsh. Errol, send the Stath round.
Sorry, Stave. Right.
I gotta say though, I was a bit surprised because he did kind of go on record saying that he wanted to keep playing the role until he was dead. Or as long as he physically could.
Well, maybe that might be it.
I guess studios had other ideas, you know. You can say one thing and then you get a call.
Bless you.
Bless you, mysterious sneezer.
That was really weird because that sneeze sounded like it went through my head because it came from one side of my
I might have flinched a bit actually myself.
If I moved my head around, and I think I must have swung my head as I was sneezing. So you probably get it panned through your brain.
Worst ASMR ever.
But
yeah. Maybe he's just fed up of going to the chicken farm and working out.
I think it's his wife. Probably just said, "You're done now."
Not more like he's a retired boxer or something. Like, no, don't go in there again.
Well, he has gone on record saying that, you know, she thought it was stupid when he first was going to go for the role of Wolverine.
Yeah.
You know, he said in many interviews, you know, he's reading the script and he goes, Wolverine gets angry, knives come from his hands, snicked. And his wife would be like, what the hell, snicked? You can't do this. This is ridiculous. And then, you know, 9 roles later, she's sleeping with Wolverine. So,
right, okay. Sorry, I just had to type something. Yeah, so next one I've got is Roger Deakins will shoot Blade Runner 2, so it looks like that's definitely happening. Roger Deakins, who did he did the last Bond, Skyfall. He's really good. So at the very least, it should look good. I don't think it's Ridley Scott's not directing it, is it? It's Denis Villeneuve who did that weird Jake Gyllenhaal film, a couple of them. The one with the spider. It was like Enemy.
That was weird.
Oh yeah.
So he's doing that. So it looks like there's some good people around that. Perhaps it is a remake, or not a remake, but a reboot too far. There's a lot of this going on, isn't there? If
Prometheus hadn't happened, I'd probably be quite excited for Blade Runner 2. I know Ridley Scott isn't really involved in this, but these are epic films, and if they could stop fucking them up. At least we don't have Aliens versus
there's a
Blade
plan.
Runner. That would be even worse. Yeah.
Yeah, I just think in the case of Blade Runner, it's such a sort of self-contained film that's kind of got its own mythology built up around the fact that there wasn't any more of it. It just seems
We're
so
all going to go and watch it,
unnecessary.
though. As long as it gets like a half-decent review,
Yeah, of course.
then
Probably, yeah.
we'll all be down there. Opening week.
Yeah.
Take my money.
Yeah, it's true.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
On the cheap day.
Yeah. Luc Besson has said that his next movie is going to be a giant sci-fi film.
Wicked.
The biggest since The Fifth Element, apparently. Hopefully it'll be good and not another... What was the last one he did? Lucy. That wasn't very good, was it?
Oh dear, that was
One of the
terrible.
worst.
Yeah. So this...
That was terrible.
So this one's going to be called Valerian and the City of 1,000 Planets. I think it's based
Jesus.
on a... It's some. I think it's like a graphic novel or something. Yeah, it's a French comic series. The last French comic series that he adapted was quite good. That was called. It was about the female. She was like a female archaeologist, but it was all a little bit risque. It's got the most unmemorable name ever, which is why I can't remember it. It was called. I think he just produced it.
Oh, just find the title, man, for the love of...
I am The Extraordinary Adventures of Adele Blanc-Sec. That rolled off the tongue, didn't it?
Well, that's
Oh
awesome.
wow.
But that is a cool film, seriously. It's based on these really weird comics that were like a little bit sort of,
Naughty.
let's say, not
Naughty.
especially feminist. It's weird because it's the kind of film when I watched it, it was like, why have I not heard of this? Why do people not talk about this film? First of all, because it's in French,
Because
obviously.
they've not heard of it.
And secondly, because it's all very good, clean Indiana Jones fun. People with funny prosthetic faces. It looks like it could be like a summer blockbuster movie. But then she gets in the bath,
bit
and it's all a
softcore.
bit like, why? Oh, yeah. It's all like, it's just like really mental. But anyway, that came out in 2011, and I think it just died a death. And it seemed like it might have been set up to be like a franchise, but it was cool anyway. I'd definitely seek that out if you want to watch like an Indiana Jones film that's a bit sort of
And some Norks, by the sound of it. Okay, fair enough.
yeah, there might be, but yeah, it's pretty cool. So hopefully this will be more Fifth Element than that. But I like Luke
Hopefully
Besson,
it can
but
be better than Jupiter Ascending.
Jupiter Ascending,
Yes.
yeah, that was a
Jesus.
bit weird.
That was... Yeah.
Yeah. And the other final bit of weird movie news, is that The Rock is apparently remaking Big Trouble in Little China. Or
Jesus.
yeah, so
Yeah, I had to actually click on that link to make sure it wasn't a lie.
yeah, apparently it's one of his
Because-
favourite films, so he wants to be Kurt Russell.
Just get Kurt Russell. He worked with Kurt Russell
Yeah.
in Fast and Furious 7.
Ah, yes,
Been
yes.
film buddies
Why didn't he
with me.
just say to him, make another film?
I don't know. Maybe he gave him his blessing, who knows? But yeah, another cult film that's getting remade unnecessarily. God knows how that's going to turn out. Yeah, and that's all the movie news we got this week. This has been the Not Watching Podcast in partnership with notlistening.co.uk. You can contact us on email at notwatchingpodcast@gmail.com. Follow us on Twitter at notwatchingpod. You can find the show notes for this show at notlistening.co.uk. And if you're listening to us on iTunes, then please do give us a review. Anyway, that's all for now. Thanks for listening. See ya.
Bonjour.